Hi everyone, this is Joao and I'm welcoming you to our innovation series at the Dubai FinTech Summit 2024 by Emirates NBD. So I'm excited to welcome four distinguished guests. We have Rahul Kumar from Live. Rahul, do you want to give a bit of an introduction about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, delighted to be here and take part in Emirates NBD's innovation series. So I joined Live, which is Emirates NBD's digital bank, about 15 months ago. So I work in the wealth and trading department and I head up strategy for them. So,
Oh, welcome to have you on board, Rahul. Thanks a lot for joining. Serena, what about you?
Thank you, Emirates NBD, first of all, to hosting us today at this podcast. I'm Serena Sebastiani. I lead digital asset consulting business for PwC in the Middle East. I've been in the fintech space and previously wealth management, asset management space for the last 15 years. Excited to have this conversation with you guys today.
Thanks for being here, Serena. And what about you, Matt?
Thanks. Yeah, so I'm Matt. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Ctrl. We tokenize assets. So we are part of the generation of infrastructure players that are looking to bring alternative assets to a much wider audience.
Nice. Thanks a lot, guys, for being here with us today. So we'll discuss three topics today. And the first of them is how the investor landscape is changing. So there's a few studies around how much money older investors are passing down to younger generations, namely Gen Z, etc. There's a study about that in America, around 84 trillion in assets going to be passed down to younger generations in the next 10 years. How do you guys think that, and maybe I'll give it first to you, Rahul, how do you guys think that will impact wealth management and basically like banking offers around like wealth?
So I think, to also set the scene as well. So obviously, given my background, sort of retail investment, retail wealth and trading side, you're seeing a huge rise now in investing. So investing is now seen to be the cool thing. You're 18 to 25, you want to own, a piece of Apple, a piece of Tesla, etc. So what we've done is we've now basically got an environment where you've got younger Gen Z investors who are more akin to the investment game, be it US equities or crypto. But then what this great hand-me-down is going to do is that it's going to open up a wider pool of cash. So now when these Gen Zers hit 30, 40, they're going to be inheriting large chunks of cash. Now, traditional private banking, wealth management has normally been, old school, face-to-face, I'm on the call, give me an update on my portfolio type thing. I think so what you're now going to see is with this great hand-me-down that people, Gen Zers, want stuff on their mobile. So, you've got the legacy banks, Emirates NBD, for example, we've got an amazing EMBDX app, whereas 10 years ago, no one would have thought that. Everyone wants to do their banking, in branch, etc. So I think where you'll see the shift is that you will then have private banking solutions actually available fully digital. So, there's some global startups in the UK. There's one called Vega, who are basically trying to take a private bank, but make it fully digital. So I think that's definitely an area which will evolve given this great hand-me-down. And I think also, access to other asset classes as well.
Yeah. Following out from that, like, what do you think, Matt, that like, how can fintechs and innovation really like bridge that gap and, really delve into the future with regards to how these products are offering like to younger generations?
Yeah, I mean, it's coming back to your point, right? It's one, how do you interact? How do this generation want to interact with their investments? And then there's a second point as to what do they actually want to invest in? And, I wouldn't even say that's just exclusive to Gen Z. You've got the millennial generation, which also feel the same kind of sentiment around what they want to invest in. And it's no longer, just stocks or bonds. People are looking for what's beyond those asset classes. They've seen things that have been very restrictive to them before. They've seen much wealthier customers get wealthier with these asset classes. You look at real estate in the UK, for example, it's very difficult for young people, Gen Zers, to get onto the real estate market and get exposure to that asset class. So, if you as a financial institution are then able, or as a wealth manager, able to give people access to something that, has been close to their hearts, they haven't been able to do so before, and potentially get that upside as well. That's really exciting.
Yeah. And Serena, what do you think? So, I mean, you are at PwC, so I guess you're covering like a lot of countries here in the Middle East. So, how do you see that adoption really, changing across like countries with different demographics? So, probably, if we're thinking about a country where the population is maybe younger, maybe one would think that maybe the adoption of these like type of offerings is probably growing faster.
Absolutely. If we take, for example, Saudi Arabia, where we have a way younger population, very tech savvy, 105% of mobile phone penetration, right? So it's really like a population that looks for digital products, for UX, for mobile first. Adoption of what product, having product, is definitely growing faster. It's also due to the government initiatives pushing to higher savings and very similar initiatives, by the way, in the UAE, in Oman, I would say actually across the GCC in general, right? Obviously, then Saudi is a wider population, is 34 million people.
Yeah,
we can drive adoption there. It's really like into new products, new asset classes, access to technology, to innovation, and UX, user experience first, automation, and something that can really help like educating people as well.
Yeah. Okay.
I think to your point as well, what's interesting is that, yes, there's countries with different levels of wealth. So, if you look at Africa, for example, there's a bunch of innovative startups out of there who are using, tokenization, or even actually investing in US equities, for example, to bypass currency control. So I think having this Gen Z who are going to get a hand-me-down as well down the line, those guys are now seeing, okay, hang on a minute.
And they have very young populations, right?
So they're fully aware of these types of product offerings out there, through social media, everything's accessible, everyone's privy to it. So they're going, hang on a minute, like I need a piece of the pie. So you're getting a lot more startups now offering those traditional services. So I think, and given that they've got the capital as well, because they're starting to inherit as well, you're going to see the rise as well. Yeah. So yes, I think they're slightly behind us in terms of, I'd say the UK, Europe, US, and, parts of the Middle East, right? Specifically UAE. But they're definitely catching up.
Yeah.
Egypt's a good example.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good point then to bring the topic of tokenization and how tokenization is being delved into the general wealth offering. We can call it like that. And maybe, Matt, you can help us like understand a bit more around how tokenization can help us within our wealth offerings here at the Emirates NBD and Live, but also, explain a bit more how it works and also what Ctrl does in terms of tokenization.
Tokenization is a bit of a buzzword. People use it quite frequently, and they use it to mean different things. But at a very base level, as we know, it's the representation of some kind of asset through the blockchain and through tokens, right?
Yeah.
But what does that actually mean for an end customer? What does that actually enable them to do? What the blockchain is just a ledger. It's a record of ownership, right? So if you're able to then record ownership of assets on this distributed ledger, on this technologically advanced ledger, you're able to get a lot of the operational efficiencies that have made it really difficult for providers, financial institutions, to give access to alternative investments in the first place. So this technology should really be seen as an efficiency tool. It's really driving
enabler.
Exactly. It's the enabler for people to invest in alternatives. But what you're doing is you're taking this traditionally very clunky kind of investment and digitalizing it, right? So I worked at, biggest banks in the world with alternative assets, and their infrastructure is just awful, right? It's just really, really old and clunky, right? And what we have here is an opportunity to completely revolutionize that. And that's exactly what we're exploring with you guys, right? And that's what's so exciting to see, big financial institutions now looking at adopting this technology, implementing that for their customers. And then as a result, their customers get a much better experience, one that's consistent with the digital experience that we expect new generations to want to have, but also one that will then give them access to the assets that have typically been cordoned off from them.
Yeah. That's really interesting. And Rahul, maybe you can help us to understand like how companies like Emirates NBD and Live can use these kind of assets to basically enable offerings for their customers, and how do you think that basically your customers would be interested about that?
Absolutely. I think just also to sort of round off Matt's earlier sort of explanation around tokenization. So, at Emirates NBD, where the customer is number one of our focus. And I guess, absolutely with the implementation of tokenization, you are really driving that operational efficiency. And this ties in then to what we can offer to our customers, right? So a pain point sitting here in the UAE is that the US markets trades during time that most people are sleeping. So if you have tokenized securities, for example, you have access to market 24/7 and instant settlement. So I'm not then worried about, say I decide to sell a couple of Apple stocks, then I'm waiting 2 days for the money to actually hit my account and then be able to trade. So that is actually that's real value to the customer.
So it goes beyond customer. It also enables operational efficiency.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's from the operational side. So that's, existing product suite. It also allows customers to access to different asset classes. So, Matt, you touched upon, specifically in the UK, pretty hard to jump on the property ladder before you're 40 if you haven't got help from bank of mum and dads, right?
Yeah.
So this tokenized real estate allows you the option to, dip into a property market, buy a fraction of a piece of real estate, build that passive income, potential investment opportunity. It also offers customers the ability to diversify your real estate portfolio. So, Joao, for example, you're from Portugal, right? But you live in Dubai. So
exactly,
you probably want to split your real estate portfolio between UAE and Portugal. So
you want to manage it in an easier way, right? For example, through your mobile app.
Exactly. So you've got that. And then you've also got more complex products as well, which traditionally have higher barriers to entries, for retail investors. So for example, bonds, minimum token size is going to be, $100,000, right? My main retail investor at Live between the age of 18 to 30 doesn't have $100,000 sitting in their account.
Exactly.
So really driving down that minimum investment is, brilliant.
And I think that pans really well with my next question, which is for Serena, which is basically, how can financial institutions, when they're offering these services, really educate their customers around the risks that they incur, but also the potential opportunities that they should probably take advantage of when trying to invest in tokenized assets, being them traditional assets like bonds that Rahul just mentioned, or real estate?
Different tools. I think in this case, yes, it's the role of the financial institutions to educate the customers. It's also a matter of collaboration, right? With fintech, by using media channels. We are looking at a younger population now. We need to use their language. If we are gonna offer them a book or an entire encyclopedia to read, maybe we are not really targeting the right customers that we actually have. We gotta use TikTok, we gotta use Instagram, we gotta use their language and their channels. So modernizing the financial institutions and how we operate and how we communicate is also important. And I think, this podcast is actually a great way to start doing so.
Exactly.
But it's actually something important, right? Because also on younger generation and what the accessibility is and what the access we have, and we don't have, and most likely your client don't have like $100,000 to invest. And there are so many great initiatives that also very big players are putting in place. and we see BlackRock tokenizing funds the build that has 5 million minimum investments token sold at $1 value. So this is giving access, and through giving access, you actually also enhance education.
Yeah,
because people experiment and have the possibility to enter a space that they wouldn't enter otherwise. Franklin Templeton and just announced, even in Dubai, the partnership with Medad, issuing the stable yield, the first actually the yield stable. So a stable kind that actually guarantees yield to the token holders as well. We'll have an entry ticket that is pretty, accessible. So giving this accessibility while through blockchain and the ledger protecting ownership. And that's also a regulator's responsibility to support us and financial institution in actually setting
landscape evolves.
And setting the ground and the name with the regulatory infrastructure.
The way I see it is sort of almost, you had fractional equities that was around sort of, mid tens, right? 2015, 50 is when it first started kicking off. Robin Hood. Exactly, right? And then we came along and tried to do the same thing at Revolut. So I think that really then created this craze around trading. And as you've seen, then it's had an impact on financial markets, right? The market has gone up, more people are invested.
Definitely much more retail participation.
Right? So I think what you're going to see is with tokenization, you're going to see the opening up of these asset classes to retail investors. You're going to have more volumes pumping in as retail investors look to, diversify their investments, given there's a more acute market awareness. And, it's that's actually going to be the impact.
And Matt, what do you think, we already spoke about high yield bonds, etc., and other financial asset classes. What do you think are, the really cool stuff that's being done out there in terms of asset tokenization? And really things that, are out of the box that haven't been widely seen yet.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a nerd, so I quite like even just private credit, which is such an attractive market right now. It's not necessarily the most, headline grabbing, but being able to tokenize private credit, which is such an attractive asset class when interest rates are high, for sophisticated investors is incredible. For retail investors, I think what I'm really excited about are assets like film. Or music rights. And I think allowing, fans of content and of media to participate in the upside of that. So, I'm a fan, I'm going to watch films, I'm going to the concerts, I'm streaming the music. I then get to see the upside because I'm also invested in that artist, is a real way for, not only artists to connect with their communities, but also a way for fans to benefit. So I think that's a really interesting way for...
And I guess it's actually like things that people are really connected with and they know about. I mean, the average Joe probably doesn't know, what's the P&L of a random SP 500 company.
Yes.
But, they will know how much Star Wars did in their first week of the blockbuster.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about education and a lot of people are already quite in the know when it comes to, films, or when it comes to real estate. People are trusted to buy their own homes, so why are they not trusted then to invest in real estate? So from an education perspective, assets that are already well known to that audience, the barrier to entry from an education perspective is a lot lower.
I think to Matt's point, it definitely helps when it's related, right? And so you're seeing videos on Instagram, TikTok of, should I buy an ETF or should I buy a Chanel? And Chanel bag's gone up, 900%.
Those hard to be do not, of course, it's a very good investment.
Yes, no comment.
At least it's tangible. Yeah. More than an ETF. Okay.
So I think, it's, to Matt's point, it's definitely helps with being relatable.
Yeah.
Matt touched on something else that is also important: private credits, right? Private credit for SME. How relevant it is in this region where we have a serious issue of SME financing, and this is also an opportunity for financial institutions, by the way, additionally powered up by open banking and open finance and easier access to credit information but through tokenization. So private credit tokenization market is currently worth $1 trillion globally and only set to grow. And this is the region that can lead the path together with Africa.
Absolutely. And we're working on some big deals with this in the UK at the moment. This is such an interesting space. And it's really important to consider that when you look at tokenization, there are two sides. There's the demand side and then there's the supply side. So we touched on the demand side with being able to give people access to these kinds of investments through tokenization. But what that does on the other side is it gives greater pools of capital. So that benefits, everyone that is an asset owner, existing financial institutions, or, people that want to get content created. Like that is really powerful on the other side as well. So it's important to consider both of them together.
Yeah. And maybe to finalize and just to go back to our initial topic around the Gen Zers, what do you guys think that your specific companies and the institutions that you work for can do to enable this market for Gen Zers and enable the next generation of investing? Just 30 seconds to close it out.
Yeah, I'm happy to say that from my side. I think we need to work with existing players in the space that already have the kind of reputation. You think partnerships with them are going to be really important to help bring that technology, bring these assets to them, to interact with them. Going somewhere where they're already familiar makes it easier for us to get new assets, new products in front of them. So I think for a business like ours, it's really important to keep that conversation with the existing players, partner with them, and work very closely with them.
Cool. What about you, Rahul?
So I think that it comes down to customer experience, number one. So it's basically providing customers with actual assets that there's real interest for. It's about educating the customer and keeping it simple as well.
Yeah.
Being able to invest through 4 or 5 clicks. That's what we're going for, not, going through reams of screens, dropping off, etc. And I think, look, to echo Matt's point, obviously we signed an MOU today with Ctrl, and it's really actually to use these fintechs who have the expertise in-house and to partner with them. For a bank like us, in order to set up that machine, takes a couple of years at the very least, right? So, our customers want it now, but they also want it with a trusted financial name such as Emirates NBD, which Lib offers, right? So it's really also that speed to market by working with fintechs as yourselves.
Yeah, cool. And Serena, how can PwC support all this ecosystem?
For us, is a commitment to support ecosystem build out by basically working together with regulators, governments, so really establishing this policy and long-term strategies that will enable, will be enabler and will set up the right infrastructure. Work with financial institutions for them to bring to market new value propositions, new products, new services. This means higher access, cheaper products, and higher and more convenient journey. Obviously, all this is coupled with our ecosystem build out and community build out efforts. So partnership with fintech and new see in the space that are interesting and cool ideas.
Cool. Okay. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me for the podcast today. And thanks to our listeners for staying switched on to our ENBD podcast series. Thanks a lot. Stay tuned for the next one. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.